Just show us, connect the dots between Joe Schmo and Great Uncle Henry with documentation, with affidavits, with public records, with the documents that we need to get comfortable with, to feel okay that Joe Schmo has the right and the authority to transfer this property. Those are all items, those are all Schedule B items that need to be cleared. Get us the documentation we need. We could talk about the documentation. You might say to me, well, I'd love to get you that document, Mark, but I can't because the guy's been dead for 20 years. How about if I get you a document ABC and an affidavit from so-and-so? Is that good enough? Depending on what it is, it may very well be good enough for us to get us comfortable to omit that from Schedule B. The judgments and liens we talked about. One thing I just want to touch on really quickly is escrowing money for Schedule B exceptions. So other than some of these other items that I've discussed, like mechanics liens and loose pendants, a lot of things can be cured with money. So you might have something at the closing where the seller says, hey, wait a second. I know there's that fine or that penalty, that violation, that lien, $1,000. I paid that guy. He said, I don't have the paperwork now, but I did pay him. I know I paid him. I know I paid that agency. I know I paid him $1,000. I'm not going to pay it again. That type of a thing, what a title company usually do is say, okay, no problem. We'll trust you, so to speak. We can escrow for that. So I tell you what, it's $1,000. It's $1,000. We'll hold back $2,000 from you at closing. In other words, we won't give you $2,000 that you're otherwise entitled to. And now we'll give you 30 days, 60 days, 90 days to prove to us, to get us the documentation we need. If it turns out in those 30 or 60 and 90 days that you produce the documentation, you show us that it really was paid, we'll give you $2,000 back. If it turns out that you can't produce it, we'll take the $2,000 and we'll use that money to pay off the $1,000. Why do we take $2,000 instead of $1,000? Really do it for two reasons. One is interest penalties that might have accrued on an underlying amount over a period of time. We want to make sure we have sufficient money to pay it so we don't actually get in the hole. The title company isn't coming out of pocket for it. The other is we want to have a hammer. We want it to be a little bit painful for you to give you an incentive to do it and to take care of the problem. And depending on the situation, sometimes the title company will hold 150%, so $1,500 on $1,000. Sometimes they'll hold double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, $5,000 on a $1,000 item, or just ratchet the numbers up on a $250,000 item. We might hold the full $1 million of the proceeds. There are times when we've had closings where we'll hold the entire full proceeds of properties being sold for $1 million, and we say to the seller, give us the $1 million. We're holding it until you clear up this item. Depending on the seriousness of the item, the nature of the item, we might hold back a lot more money. Extremely important. One other thing I have up on the screen, on your PowerPoint when I'm talking about clearing Schedule B exceptions is attorney undertakings. I wouldn't say that it really fits exactly in here, but it's extremely important because it happens at a vast majority of closings. For those of you who've taken some of my other classes, I have an ethics class. In fact, I have a 4-credit ethics class that'll satisfy your full obligation to take 4 credits of ethics every 2 years. I have an ethical issues in the practice of real estate law class where I touch on this a little bit. And this idea comes a little bit out of that class, and I think it's valuable to touch on it here. Also, it gives me the opportunity to say, check out my website some more and sign up for some other of my classes. What's an attorney undertaking? An attorney undertaking usually comes about, almost always comes about, that everybody's sitting at the table, some issue comes up, nobody really knew about it, nobody really thought about it, and somebody, the bank, somebody says, or the other side says to the attorney, okay, look, all you need to do is give me an undertaking that you'll take care of this after closing. That's good enough for me, and then we could close. And the lawyer gets out a yellow pad or a white pad and scribbles the undertaking, says, I, Joe Schmo, agree that I'll